It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news and the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon at the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories we're watching this midweek, January 22. Four senators have asked Senate President Chis Escudero to withdraw their signatures from Senate Bill 1979, the bill preventing adolescent pregnancies. These are Senators J.B. Ejercito, Nancy Binay, Cynthia Villar, and Bongo. In their letter, the lawmakers agreed on the need to address teen pregnancies, but also called for more discussions to clarify misconceptions and to remove, and we quote, objectionable parts of the measure. The Senate Committee on Basic Education will conduct its own inquiry into the implementation of sexual education. This comes amid criticism on the Prevention of Adolescent Pregnancy Act of 2023, with some saying that the bill poses a significant threat to the country's moral and spiritual foundations. Author Senator Lisa Ontiveros has already refuted circulating lies about the measure. China has replaced its Coast Guard ship CCG-3304 with a smaller ship, CCG-3103, off the coast of Zambales on Tuesday. However, it is still larger than the 44-meter vessel of the Philippines, which replaced BRP Gabriela Silang. Meantime, China's so-called monster ship and CCG-5901 remain within the country's exclusive economic zone. The records of a Chinese national recently arrested for allegedly spying have shown that he has traveled in and out of the Philippines since 2015. Okay. 39-year-old Deng Yuan King and his two Filipino cohorts were earlier found to be allegedly spying on military camps, EDCA sites, and government offices and malls. At least 24 states and cities are suing U.S. President Donald Trump over his executive action on or against birthright citizenship. California and Washington are leading the coalition of American states seeking to block Trump's move to end the decades-old immigration policy. Birthright citizenship guarantees that U.S.-born children are citizens regardless of their parents' status.
In one fell swoop, he stripped the constitutional right to citizenship for children who will be born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status. I'm asking the court for a preliminary injunction to immediately block this order from taking effect and ensure that the rights of the many American-born children harmed by it should be in effect while the litigation proceeds. If allowed to stand, this order would endanger thousands of U.S. citizens who will be born in the next year, real children and families just trying to live their lives in peace. It would strip Americans of their most basic rights and their privileges they're owed as citizens. Children would be forced to live under the threat of deportation.
The President's executive order would deny citizenship to 150,000 newborn children each year in the United States. Birthright citizenship makes clear that citizenship cannot be conditions on one's race, ethnicity, or where their parents came from.
And joining us today from the Philippine Star in Parañaque City, Editor-in-Chief Amy Pamintuan. Amy, magandang hapon. At, ba't Maria Clara ka ngayon?
Mag-ano ako, magre-ribbon cutting ako.
Walang biro. Hindi nga.
Hindi. Inauguration na itong building namin today.
Aba!
Maya-maya, pagkatapos na itong program, magre-ribbon cutting ako. Kami.
So si Icho nakaganyan din. Si Marichu Villanueva.
Nakaganon din.
Okay, sige.
Pilipiniana daw yung Pilipiniana daw yung motive ng di nakaganito.
Okay, I will not inquire further. Teka, yung ating partner na si Tito Ronald Llamas, nagpapakabanal. Kung hinanap niyo po si Tito Ronald, kasama niya ngayon ang mga obispo ng Catholic Bishops Conference of the Philippines sa I think, Santa Rosa, Laguna ata Hindi ko lang alam bakit siya
may hinahanda yata silang di ba? Yung, hindi ko alam kung mas action yun or anyway. Meron tayong iniintay na event by the end of the month, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly kung ano yung ano yung gagawin ni Ronald sa mga obispo, kung bakit siya ang committee ng mga to. medyo mahiwaga talaga ng taon to, no? biglang
Agitator.
biglang nagpapakabanal. Sa bagay, ganyan talaga pag makasalanan eh. So yun po, kung hinanap niyo po yung ating partner dito na madalas nating katabi, ano po siya ngayon kasama ng mga obispo at hindi ko lang alam kung briefing ang kanyang ginagawa o ano or a talk. So yun, kaban na kayo.
Yeah.
So yun, what's your top story for the day?
Binabantayan pa rin natin, of course, yung mga events as we expected. Katakot-takot siya. First day pa lang, katakot-takot na yung legal challenges doon sa mga controversial orders ni President Donald Trump. Pero siguro gusto ng mga siguradong gusto to ng mga Pilipino, nag-meeting kaagad yung QUAD. No? The QUAD, US, Japan, Australia, and India sa Washington with Marco Rubio, the incoming Secretary of State, at meron kagad silang statement against coercive action and pushing for a peaceful Indo-Pacific. Yan. Free and open Indo-Pacific. They expressed support for the rule of law, democracy, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Kaya alam naman nating lahat kung sino yung pinatatamaan nun, At saka ayaw nila ng unilateral action to change the status quo using force or coercive action. Yan. Yan yung first day ni Marco Rubio as Secretary of State.
Although, no surprises naman there kasi no state or no state or coalition would say we are against the rule of law.
Pero yung mga words na yan yung ino-oppose ng China. Kasi ang feeling ng Beijing hinehem-in daw siya ng QUAD. Anti-QUAD yan, of course. You can understand, it's China. The QUAD daw, per se, yung QUAD, hindi gusto ng Beijing
And,
trying to hem in daw China.
And of course, the statement against unilateral actions in the region. Reminder to our viewing public, China has always pushed for only bilateral. Gusto niya mag-uusap lang Pilipinas at China, hindi papasok ang ibang mga alyansa at kaalyado. Of course, to which we don't necessarily agree to dahil you're talking about big country talking to small country.
Yes. Kaya pati yung ASEAN, hindi ba, yung mga statements, kapag affected yung China, hanggat maaari binablock nila At ginagamit nila yung mga kaalyado nila, Cambodia, yung mga close na close sa kanila within Southeast Asia. Yan ang ginagamit nilang pang-block ng ganyang klase. Kaya kung sakali mag-issue ng statement ng ASEAN, laging nawa-water down
Yeah, because China has its own China has its own block in ASEAN, and ASEAN always works via consensus, as in complete consensus. If you don't get complete consensus, it doesn't push through.
Kaya pupunta na lang tayo sa ibang yung mga sumusuporta naman doon sa posisyon natin in the West Philippine Sea and the Greater South China Sea, of course, and supporting our win in the arbitration court. Kaya isa dyan, yung QUAD na nga. QUAD.
Yeah. So,
although marami na nag-issue ng statement natin, G7, European Union, all supporting our position na it should be rules-based, meaning yung United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. No? To which China is a party at niratify din nila.
Anong balita nyo, Ami, latest dun sa yung nahuling Chinese national daw na spying in the Philippines?
In relation to that, nag-issue na merong storya from the Department of Labor. Binabago daw nila ngayon yung mga regulations on the employment of foreigners in the light of this espionage story. Although hindi nga natin malaman kung saan empleyado yung spy na yan, Hindi malinaw Hindi naman siya pwedeng self-employed, hindi naman siya nagtitinda niyang mga nakakuha sa kotse niya.
Malam mo, binibenta nga niya.
Hanggang ngayon, di ba natin alam Ano ba trabaho mo dito? 5 taon ka na rito.
5 taon So hindi pwedeng turista lang
Yes, may driver pa siya. Oh.
Oo. So,
Meron siyang aide. May dalawa siyang empleyadong Pilipino. So ano talaga yung pamumuhay nila rito? And medyo, I guess hindi pa masyadong nilalabas dahil fina-follow up pa rin ng NBI.
I think naman it's fair to acknowledge that nation states conduct intelligence gathering, whether they're friendly, whether they're friendly or unfriendly. Everybody conducts intelligence gathering. I mean, even we do that. Of course, we don't call it that, but everybody does that. Both your friends and your foes do that.
Pero hindi naman ganyan.
Pero, I mean,
Iba naman yung intel gathering sa ngayon. May connotation yung intel gathering na it involves national security. Tayo, merong yung pagkuha ng mga diplomat natin at saka yung including mga security officers natin, usually may coordination yan eh. Kung may kailangan ka, di ba? Hindi ka papasok ng walang pahintulot doon sa mga information na gusto mong makuha.
Pero Ami, my understanding of the equipment that was used and the data that was spoken about in the press conference of Bronner and the NBI was that the guy was doing supposedly LiDAR mapping, and he was collecting topographical coordinates.
Kaya nga hindi naman ano ba trabaho niya? Kailangan malaman natin kung ano trabaho niya. Kung related dyan sa trabaho niya.
But my point is
Surveyor ba siya?
Topographical coordinates are not state secrets. They're the shape of the land.
Pwede mo naman kunin sa satellite, di ba? Bakit mo kinukuha dyan?
So that not unless there's something else that they're not telling us. Pero based on the equipment that was shown and the data given to us in the press conference by the NBI and the AFP, if at all, and it's possible naman, it's possible that he is gathering intelligence. If at all, it's pretty low level. He doesn't. They have not indicated that he's gathering, for example, data, electronic data, or communications data. It does not seem so far that that's what he's getting, or state secrets. In other words, there is no indication yet from the press conference that we had that he was gathering state secrets. If at all, he was gathering what? Geographic geographic data.
Ang mga state secret natin dito involves public funds.
Iba yun.
Hindi naman yun na state secret. Kaya hindi ko alam kung anong state secret makukuha mo dyan.
I mean, if at all, he was probably low-level intel gatherer. He was not into... mas concerning kasi, for example, data gathering or eavesdropping on frequencies and communications and tapping into networks. That would be a bigger concern, if at all. So medyo ito.
Basta hindi siya kapareho sa mga kasi binanggit mo na nga na most of the countries are conducting surveillance on each other. Kapag ganyan, usually ang makukuha mo dyan, sino ba yung mga sleeper nung kabila? Di ba? I don't think meron naman tayong ganon.
Kasi, I was watching the press con I watched the press con replay. After General Bronner spoke about yung equipment that was confiscated and the data that was being collected by the Chinese national, a reporter, I think it was Indian Ayalin, asked him straight out, Sir, kung yan lang kinukuha niya, hindi ba available yan sa Google Earth at sa Google Maps?
Oo nga, yun na nga.
So, ang sabi ni General Bronner, and this I recall because it was I watched the recording. Sabi ni General Bronner, yeah, but there's other data that's not on Google Earth and Google Maps. Like for example, yung mga kotse naglalabas-masok. Tsaka yung mga entry-exit points. Wala yun sa Google Maps.
Actually, makukuha mo din yun
Pero sabi nga, pwedeng gawin ng
medyo delayed lang.
Pwedeng gawin ng Blue Guard yan
Oo, delayed.
Tumayo ka lang, magsigarilyo ka lang sa harapan ng ano mo.
Ng bahay mo, kahit bahay na.
But that's what I mean. So, if at all, not unless there's other things that they haven't told us about yet, if at all, it seems to be pretty low level
Kasi medyo seryoso yung charge na yun. That's a non-bailable offense.
Because
medyo
it is national
seryoso
security.
yun and you need some basis to accuse anyone of that. Kay foreigner, kay Pilipino.
On the
baka
other
meron
hand,
nga silang hindi sinasabi.
could be nga, could be. On the other hand, si Tito Ronald had a good point nung, when was that? Yesterday or the other day? He also had a good point the other day. Ang sabi ni Tito Ronald, ideally, if you uncover the identity of a spy, you don't pick him up kaagad and expose him. You use him first to find out who else he's talking to and who he's reporting to. So
Baka nagawa na nila yun.
so you capture more people. Well, that's what we will see in the next few months, if at all.
Oo. Baka may ginagawa sila. Hindi sasabihin yan lahat sa syempre.
Could be, yeah.
If it's a real espionage case, siguradong napakaraming hindi sinasabi sa atin.
Although sabi rin nila sa press con, they uncovered him last month lang. December lang siya. December siya ng tiktikan. so the other day, present na siya.
Pwede mga isang buwan na.
But anyway, let's see. That's what we have to watch out for kung ano yung mangyayari doon. Anyway, so something about that. Oh, in Senate Bill 1979, in our headlines kanina, 4 senators said they are withdrawing their signatures on the committee report. That's, I think, was that JB? Teka, let me check again.
Senator Villar, Senator Bongo.
Yeah, Villar. Bongo, Abi Binay.
CG Versito, I think, and Abi, yes.
Yeah. There you go. JB,
At si Binay, si Abi
Villar,
Binay sa
Bongo.
mayor.
Ay, sorry.
Pero dinidepensa,
Hindi pala Abi Binay.
dinidepensahan din ni Sani Angara, ha? Yung CSE, sabi niya, pag-aaralan daw ng Department of Education kung pwedeng itigil yung comprehensive sexuality education.
Sorry,
Na,
my apologies.
yun na nga,
Hindi pala Abi Binay, Nancy Binay pala. wrong sister.
Nancy Binay, senator. Kapatid niya, mayor.
Itong sabi nila sa kanilang statement, while we believe that the prevalence of adolescent pregnancy is an issue that must be urgently addressed, it is our position that further dialogues with stakeholders is essential in order to accurately dispel misconceptions and remove objectionable portions from the bill. Yun. Ay,
Pero
Tita Ami.
hindi pa yan nga ginagawa ng Congress. Pinag-uusapan pa naman yung bill. Hindi pa naman pasado yun ang sinabi ni Chis Escudero eh. Still going through the legislative process.
Yeah.
At maghihintay pa yan ng counterpart version sa House. And then it will go to the bicameral conference. And then it will go to the President who might veto it kapag kahit anong ayaw niya doon, di ba?
Total, marami naman nangyari sa bicameral conferences. So,
Oo nga.
doon na nag-aabangan. Teka, Ami, nawala yung video mo. Aayusin mo na yung video mo. So, we'll go into a break first. A quick break while they fix your video, and then we'll come back with our first guest for today. So, you're watching Storycon One News. We will take a break. We'll be right back.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news in the stories behind headlines. Welcome back to the Story Conference or Storycon. I'm Ed Lingao, and of course with us, Amy Pamintuan of the Philippine Star. Yan, nagbabalik na si Amy at ang kanyang video. Siguro nagimbal doon sa iyong suot na maladyos ang dress ngayong hapon.
Filipiniana.
Okay, Filipiniana. Okay, sige. Oh, Amy, let's now call in our first guest, UN Population Fund Assistant Country Representative, Jose Roy Ravena. He's also one of the Senate Bill's 1979 or SB 1979's proponents. Sir, magandang hapon and welcome to Storycon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, and I'm very happy that you invited me to be with you this afternoon.
Sir, we're happy to have you, especially given that this bill has become so controversial and there's a lot of information and not very accurate information floating around.
Yes.
So that's why we're hoping to get more input from you. Sir, to begin with, sir, just to give us a lay of the land, the UN Population Fund had a role in advising and drafting the bill, sir. Is that correct?
Nawala ako ulit.
Yes, and I can share with you what role we particularly played in informing the development of this important piece of legislation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly where you fit in the entire scheme of things. Because, sir, I bring that up because, for example, in the statements in the video being presented by some of the critics of the bill, they zeroed in on the WHO and UNESCO. So UN agencies as being part of as being part of the controversial bill's drafting, and they've cited several specific provisions, although they were not able to cite the specific documents, but I found some of them anyway, that supposedly were contained in UN documents, and some of these appear to be controversial, at least from their point of view.
Okay, sige. Thank you so much for this opportunity. No? This issue that we're discussing now is really, really critical for the country. Number one, we have, as the statistics will show, very high rates of teenage pregnancy. No?
Yes, sir.
So we see that a significant increase in births among young adolescents. No? For example, 1 in 10 births were actually from this age group. For the very young age, it really increased from 35% in 2021, that's around 2,300, that's for the 10 to 14-year-old age group, to 3,100 in 2022. HIV infection is really also a very worrying trend for the country. And among young people contributed 47% of these infections in terms of the increasing trend in the country. No? And you will be might be surprised to hear that only 1 out of 3 among youth age 15 to 24 have actually heard about the disease HIV and AIDS. No?
Sir,
only
1 out of 3? 1 out of 3?
Only 19% have correct comprehensive knowledge on HIV/AIDS. Would you believe that based on that last study, 52% of young people still have this misconception that they can get HIV/AIDS from eating the food of those who are also infected?
Okay.
Really alarming, no? And then also the issue of child exploitation and sexual abuse. So we have been supporting as UNFPA government in terms of addressing these challenges in terms of adolescent pregnancy prevention, HIV/AIDS infection, as well as child sexual exploitation and abuse. No, we actually have in the country already a very good legislative framework or instrument through the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Law. But as we know, this legislation didn't really focus on the issue of teen pregnancy, which was declared a national social emergency in 2019. And so what we're seeing is that this piece of legislation on teen pregnancy prevention is actually a good complement to the RPRH law. No? So in that regard, the role we played was really to provide evidence of what is working and what does not work with regard to addressing issues of adolescent pregnancy, HIV/AIDS, as well as sexual exploitation and abuse. No? So we have provided this evidence, from that evidence we see that comprehensive sexuality education is one of several interventions in a package of interventions that is critical to really bring the correct information, knowledge, and also induce the right attitudes and behaviors for young people.
Yes, sir.
No?
Sir. Sir, if I may, sir, I think naman at least Ami and I, there's no need to convince us of the urgency of these things and the need to educate people. However, the critics of the bill have zeroed in on certain specific phrases. If I put it, phrases, for example, I think they object to the use of the, among other things, of the acronym CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education, based on international standards. Mukhang doon nag-freak out yung ibang grupo eh. And then they started picking on some standards abroad that would appear shocking to some Filipinos. For example, yung sinight po ni dating Chief Justice Sereno sa kanyang January 10 video, 0 to 4 years old childhood masturbation ang i-introduce na konsepto. Quite shocking nga po. But however, if you...
Nawala na naman.
I found the document din eh. If you look at the document, it's the WHO guidance for Europe by the WHO Regional Office for Europe. So, may ganun pong may ganung so merong ganung dokumento, pero was it appropriate to link it to what we're going to do in the Philippines? Let me tell you that question po. When we say international standards in the bill, exactly what are we looking at and what are we not looking at?
Yeah. Well, yes. Comprehensive sexuality education is really about age-appropriate and culturally sensitive comprehensive sexuality education. No? So it's really about equipping adolescents with essential knowledge about sexual and reproductive health. So, as we go through the principles of, or key principles of CSE, another element is actually also contextualization and adaptation. So, international standards are meant to be able to guide based on what is the best scientific evidence available in many other contexts. But at the end of the day, it's really the decision of the country as to how it will adapt these standards. No? So the element of contextualization is needs to really be highlighted.
Pero meron nga bang ganon? Meron nga bang ganon in international standards? Nakasama yung 0 to 4 dyan sa ganyang sexual education. Kasi sinabi ni Sani Angara today, wala naman daw sa implementation ng CSE nila na yung pinaprotesta ng mga grupo. Na reasonable naman yung protesta considering our culture, Pero dun sa international standards, are they actually in there? Na you will teach 0 to 4-year-old kids na about masturbation. Ano naman naintindihan ng mga bata ron? Totoo ba yan?
It's not part of the international guidance that we teach about this concepts at all. No? So, at the end of the day, as we said, even if you find this in specific guidelines or practices in other countries, what is essential is that these are considered by the country that adapts it to its local context, make it culturally sensitive.
At wala po siya dun sa Senate bill, Yun ang nililinaw din ni...
Exactly.
Yun ang nililinaw ng mga defender ng Senate bill na yan. Wala yung provision na yan.
I have read the bill and have not seen any mention of these at all.
May isa pa pong binanggit may isa pang binanggit si President Marcos, yung sinabi niyang abhorrent, woke, absurdities, Yung isang binanggit niya, yung children being allowed to try different sexualities. Nandun din po ba yon doon sa bill? At nandun po ba yon sa international standards on CSE?
At dagdag lang po itong kay Amy.
Again, I think this
Dagdag lang po na
these
tanong
are,
doon kay Amy.
not in the guidelines as well as in terms of the bill itself. No, I think we also need to really push for, as we said in the statement that we issued as UN. No, really to address the misinformation, and we need to be able to address this using the evidence that shows globally that CSE does not support early sexual initiation. No, so if I can just cite a few of the evidences that we have also provided during the crafting of the bill. No? So there is the 2015 Global Review on CSE, which confirmed that sexuality education does not hasten sexual activity, but in fact has a positive impact on safe sexual behaviors. There were, number two, there were 41, a review of 41 randomized controlled trials in countries like the US, Nigeria, Mexico, which confirm that CSE prevents unintended adolescent pregnancies. In Kenya, there was a study involving around 12,000 students, no? 6,000 who were exposed to sexuality education and another 6,000 who did not receive sexuality education. And we were not surprised to see that those who were exposed to sexuality education had delayed sexual initiation. So these are what we need to be able to. These are our, the instruments that we use, no, in trying to also battle against the misinformation that we're hearing about.
Pakilala ko
Are
lang
you
po si
saying
si
that,
Tito Ronald Llamas joining us via Zoom all the way from Santa Rosa, Laguna ba yan, kung saan siya kasama ng mga kaparihan. Tito Ronald Llamas.
Nagdadasal, oo, nagdadasal.
I'm by myself looking at the kawalan. No?
Ba't kawalan?
I feel so woke.
Okay. Ikaw lang yun. Ikaw lang yung woke.
So awoke. No? Tatanong ko lang po, sa tingin nyo ba ay victim ng disinformation si President Bongbong Marcos? Dahil marami sa sinabi niya ay wala sa bill.
Opo, and he said he read the bill.
Oo, pero sabi niya, nabasa niya. Ano kaya yung nabasa niya from your vantage point? Nabanggit nyo kanina yung kumakalat na disinformation. Do you think ay yung ating presidente ay biktima nitong disinformation? Dahil medyo malayo dun sa bill, yung kanyang mga binanggit na abhorrent, no? From sexuality to masturbation, no, etc. What do you think?
Well, we always recognize that discussions like this, opposing viewpoints, no, open discussions, always welcome, particularly in a democracy like in our country, no. And but at the end of the day, and this is really our hope, that our policymakers will base their arguments and decisions on the best available scientific evidence. And it's normal that these exchanges of views happen, and it's part of a healthy exercise of democracy.
Pero sana yung exchange of views ay hindi based on disinformation. Dahil very concrete yung bill. There is nothing in the bill batay dun sa mga sinasabi ng mga detractors. So yes, maganda ang debate, discussion, pero sana naman ay nakabatay sa ano ba talaga yung nakasulat. Di ba? Hindi lang yung science, no?
That's true. But siguro it's also worth highlighting at this point, no, that the President Marcos himself, when he was senator and when we were in the thick of the debates for the RH bill, he actually supported it and voted for it, no? And in his current term as president, he has really emphasized the importance of leveraging the country's young population. And rightly so, in his statements, to fully realize this, addressing teen pregnancy is a critical precondition. So I think if we are able to really bank on the facts and on the best scientific evidence, we will have a very rational discussion to produce a bill that benefits young people.
Pero Sir Roy, whatever the case is, the atmosphere has already been colored by so much emotions, and I don't want to use that word muna. Well, let's call it so much emotions. Now that you already have 4 senators withdrawing, I'm sure you've heard about this already today, withdrawing their signatures from the committee report on SB 1979. I think that's a major thing kasi naaprubahan na, withdraw pa. pirma sa committee report. Although they're saying na so that they can consult more stakeholders and to look at what they call objectionable provisions in the bill. Well, obviously,
Hindi naman nila binanggit kung ano yung objectionable provisions ng bill. Mas maganda sana kung binanggit nila.
Ed, Ronald, pareho ba yung committee report sa yung bill? Pareho ba yun?
I downloaded the bill.
Kasi ang kumakalat naman ngayon na I'm not sure kung ano yung committee report saka ano yung bill. Yun daw mga ino-objectionan ni President Marcos are in the committee report.
I doubt it.
Hindi
I
daw
doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt
parang
it.
may consolidated report daw na pinakita sa kanya at nandun. Yun ang kumakalat naman ngayon.
I doubt it, Ami. Dahil usually committee report ay binabawasan mo yung bill imbis na tinatagtagan. No? Ibig sabihin yung pag
summary, di ba?
Pag nasa bill
Summary.
na 10 years and above, I doubt kung sa committee report ay babawasan yon at gagawin 4 years and below. No? So, tingin ko, a committee report ay baka nga na-dilute pa yun yung committee report. No? Mukhang iba yung nabasa ni Presidente.
Para nga daw consolidated, a consolidation of something. Yung iba-ibang at pinisinta sa kanya. Yun ang bine-verify namin ngayon kung totoo na yun nga ang nakita niya.
At ang binabanatan nila dahil daw yung international standards ay mas abhorrent pa doon sa bill, no? Pero wala naman ako nakita sa international standards na abhorrent. So mas mabuti, sabi nga, na mas maganda yung discussion kung malinaw na ito ay nakasalalay sa science. At saka, ano ba talaga yung nakasulat sa bill? Dahil yung pinag-uusapan ngayon, yung binabanat, mukhang disinformation talaga. No? Kaya talagang palabas nila sa Philippine Star yung bill at saka yung committee report. Duda ako.
Ang gulo nga. Hindi nga namin alam kung committee report o consolidated report o ano. Pero Mr. Roy, you can say definitively ngayon na wala sa bill. You know naman kung ano yung dalawang issues na binanggit ni President Marcos na woke absurdities daw. Alam niyo naman yun, So, masasabi natin definitively ngayon, wala siya sa bill.
It's not in the bill, but I think the dialogues that the 4 senators are calling for, the 4 senators who withdrew are calling for, I think we should support that, no? We should support dialogues among a broader stakeholders, including parents, no? And I think that's one of the key features of the bill, no? The engagement of the community and parents that we need to be able to strengthen.
Sir Roy,
So,
yes, sir. Sir Roy, if I may just go back to the video that was released by I think they call themselves Project Dalisay, itong grupo ni former Chief Justice Sereno. In the video that they released, they were talking about, among other things, 0 to 4 childhood masturbation, also oral and anal sex. Although they showed the text, but they did not say where they were able to derive the text from. Yung 0 to 4, I found that nga sa WHO guidelines for Europe. But the second one about the oral and anal sex, I don't know where they got that from. But I don't know if you're in the position to tell us, are these by any chance part of any guidelines of any UN bodies, either internationally or in other countries? Would you be able to tell us that, or is that already beyond the scope of your expertise?
Yes. So some of these concepts being mentioned are, part of guidelines or standards, but in the context that they were produced under, no? But as far as we're concerned, it's the International Technical Guidance on CSE that we are actually, in a way, advising for member states whom we provide support to in terms of guidance.
Yeah.
And but these concepts are, again, needs to be contextualized. They are not meant to be prescribed for each country, hook, line, and sinker. No, so they need to be contextualized based on what the country believes to be culturally sensitive and relevant for their population.
The international technical guidance, I found that on your website. So it's available publicly. People can download that and peruse for themselves whether or not these allegations or assertions really are there. It's easy to download. You can check the pages. It's easy to read. So please
At
do
the end
it.
of the day, the country is in the driver's seat in terms of this decision. No? So our role as the United Nations is really to provide what evidence of what works and what does not work.
Nag-recommend po ba kayo at what age sex education should start? Was there any recommendation from the UN for the Philippines?
For the Philippines, it's well, in the international technical guidance, there is a range of recommendations across age groups, no? But we know the Department of Education, when it adapted the standards, they set it for the K-12 curriculum, but in a way that's incremental, no? So concepts build upon each other based on the age and development level for that particular group, no? For kinder, you've heard this already being mentioned, no? For kinder, it's about the basic anatomy, difference between a male and female body parts. In grades 1 to 3, it's about caring for genital hygiene, for example. And these lessons, of course, become more complex. How you differentiate between the good touch and the bad touch as the students grow older.
Mm-hmm. Sir Roy, ako one more po. I think one point of debate, might be even the bigger, broader debate for some of these groups, is who gets to teach our kids sex education. Because there are some groups that believe that sex education is exclusively to be taught in the home versus being taught by somebody in a classroom. So that's probably the root of a lot of these debates, na parang who's supposed to be in charge of my kid's sexuality. How do you address that, or how should that be addressed from the UN's point of view?
Okay. There is, of course, no question that the parents and guardians take that primary responsibility. But we have to be really acknowledge the reality that based on the survey I was citing earlier, young people, as it is now in our country, no, they get most of their sources of information on sex, sexuality, etc. from social media, number one.
Yes.
Number two, from friends. And that is their choice. That is their decision. The absence of, and a far third, I think, is, and that's really just for the female population, who consult their mothers. No? So, are we willing to let social media and peers, no, be the sources of information, recognizing the risk of inaccuracy from these sources? That's why CSE is important, particularly its implementation in schools, because here we're able to really make it systematic, accurate. We're able to train systematically our educators, our teachers, so that there is a layer of protection for our young people, no? In terms of getting correct information, especially at this age where misinformation is actually becoming the trend.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tito Ronald, ikaw, baka may katanungan ng mga pari dyan.
Mag-isa lang ako rito, ikaw talaga, Ed.
By the way,
May problema din, Ed. I'm sure na merong mga studies dito ang UN na merong households na where the children are abused by the elders. How can you discuss sex with them? In fact, kailangan malalaman ng mga batang yan kung kailan they are being subjected to sexual abuse at the home. Kasi lalo dito sa atin, it's pretty common. Ang taas-taas ng abuse dito ng children. Kaya importante yung sexual education din sa school. Now siguro, of course, the parents will have they have the responsibility to teach the children. Pero kailangan din punuan, di ba, ng ibang sectors of society. Di ba? Kailangan din yan ng school. Hindi pwedeng kayanin ng lalo sa mga ang taas-taas dito yung online sexual abuse of children. Sino yung mga perpetrator niya? Ang purveyor niya kadalasan, yung mga matatanda, yung mga guardian.
Tama yun, Ami. Yung anak ko na doktora, nung nag-work, nag-trabaho siya sa hospital, significant numbers ng kanyang pinapaanak ng mga 10, 11, 12, 13 years old ay napuntis ng kamag-anak.
Yes.
Mga sa tahanan. So,
Yes.
sa bagay, yan ay criminal cases, pero bahagi dyan ay ignorance, no? Ng mga bata. Hindi nila alam na inaabuso sila. Kaya siguro kasama yun sa education, pero basically, din yan. Kailangan parusahan. Kahit mga kamag-anak nila yung gumawa nun. No?
Kaya nga nung pandemic, ang taas-taas ng sexual, nag-spike eh.
Oo.
Yung child sex abuse during the
Yes.
pandemic. Kasi yung mga bata nandun, naka-lockdown. At walang tumutulong sa kanila na eskwela na hindi nila matakbuhan yung mga teacher, yung mga other elders, other adults for help. Di ba at least yung mga teacher nakaka-detect yan eh. O bakit ganyan ka? Bakit ka nalulungkot? Bakit ganun? Di ba merong mga sign yung bata pag nai-stress? Sa school, nakukuha yun.
Okay. So, ako, Sir
Kaya
Roy,
yung mga ganyan mga problema dapat din pag-usapan din, ano?
so, ako, Sir Roy, one more last question from me, sir. Okay, where do we head from here? For all intents and purposes, mukhang troubled waters ngayon itong bill na ito. You already have 4 senators backing out.
Mukhang naghihingalo.
Oo.
Naghihingalo.
Where do we go from here? How do we break to the impasse?
Yes. So, I think, as we said earlier, no, we need to continue providing the right information, accurate scientific evidence on what works and what does not work. At the end, we really just look forward to seeing our Filipino legislators go through these discussions armed with the right evidence and basing their arguments on this. No, at the end, as we said, the government is in the driver's seat, and its decision on how it will adapt and contextualize the CSE in the country. It will be it will be their decision to make. No, at the end of the day, what we're really saying is that this is a critical intervention that will be contributing to really harnessing the demographic dividend, this golden window of opportunity for our young people, which will be put at risk, no, if they have unwanted pregnancies, that they are infected by HIV and STI, they go through this experience of sexual exploitation and abuse.
With the kind of legislators we have, good luck sa ating lahat.
Humabol pa si Tito Ronald eh. Okay. Tito Ronald, chill ka lang dyan. O, sige.
Mainit ang ulo ko eh.
Okay. O, chill ka lang dyan. You're in the presence of priest, Tito Ronald. So, bless you.
May I just add one information?
Sige po, quickly po. Because we're about to wrap up po. Thank you po.
Just on that aspect of the harnessing the youth bulge of the country right now, we did a recent study, and we can share this with you, saying that and we find that for every dollar that the country will invest in terms of adolescent reproductive health, including comprehensive sexuality education, will give a return of $8 in terms of benefits for our young people, for our economy, no? So it makes good economic sense as well, no? So just, I mean, in addition to the social arguments that we have already been advancing, there is a good economic argument to this as well.
Okay, may sukli na $7. Maraming salamat, sir. Jose Roy Abena ng UN Population Fund. Siya po ang Assistant Country Representative ng UN Population Fund. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you po. Tito Ronald, chill ka lang dyan. Okay, maraming salamat. Tumabot Tito Ronald Llamas, ang ating resident political pundit. At thank you rin kay Amy Pamintuan, ang bossing ng Philippine Star. And join us again tomorrow at 4 p.m. for the Storycon. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.